Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Samastajana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Satchidananda Rupaya Vishvotpatyadi Hetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Namaha. Hari Om, salutations to all. So here in Canto 4, chapter 19, we saw how Prthu Raja, when he was doing the 100th yagna, Indra captured his horse and he did not want Prthu Raja to complete the 100th yagna because Shakra is the name of Indra. And the Shakra is the short form of Shatak Kratu. Like we say Rajkumar. So then short form is RK. So like that Shatak Kratu becomes Shakra. So he didn't want, Shakra means one who has done 100 yagnas, 100 Ashwamedha yagnas. So he didn't want anybody else to have that credit to themselves. So he stole the horse twice, and finally his son gets the horse, and Prthu Raja, he gets the horse, and then again Indra comes and steals it away. That whole story we saw, and Prthu Raja is about to then, kill him. But Brahmaji says, no, you stop. Brahmaji he tells Prthu Raja that your avatar has happened for establishing dharma, and when you take up an act of this, of killing, see, Indra has done Mayajal, and he has also created a lot of these heretic sects and all that. So he says that that very purpose will get defeated, destroyed. People will go away from dharma. And so anyway, you don't seek the 100 Ashwamedha yagnas as your glory. So then why do you want to leave it at 99? Now, here he agrees. We see at the end of this 19th chapter that Prthu Raja, he agrees and he concludes the yagna, doesn't complete the 100th one. And that is where that chapter ended. He gave gifts to everybody and they all departed. They all were going. At that time, when yagna was concluded, what happened? The 20th chapter starts from there. That Bhagwan himself manifested, Vishnu Bhagwan manifested there. Maitreya uvacha Bhagavanapi Vaikuntaha Sakam Maghavata Vibhuhu Yajnapatistushto Yajnabhuktamabhashata. Why did Bhagwan manifest? Because Bhagwan was pleased with the yajna being done by Prthu Raja. And who is Bhagwan? He is the one for whom the yajnas are done. He is the Yajnapati. Yajnas are done to please him. And the purpose is also that a yajna becomes successful when Bhagwan manifests. So even though 100th yajna did not happen completely, in that sense the number 100 was not reached, but the purpose of the yajna was fulfilled or not. And Bhagwan manifested there. Not only he manifested there, he also brought Indra with him. So it's, on one hand, we feel that, oh, Brahmaji should not have told him, Indra did the wrong, Indra should have got punished. But in the larger picture, we see that if Indra was punished and Prithuraja had finished his 100 yagnas. Apparently there is a nyaya which is done there, but it would also have led to so many other consequences because of all this, the different adharmic sects which get created to ensure that the yagna doesn't get completed. Now that is not required. So keeping the larger objective, the individual objective is sacrificed. But that does not mean that yagna is a failure, because Bhagwan manifested. So both the individual also got blessed now, and the macro picture, the larger purpose also got fulfilled. And Bhagwan brought Indra. So Nyaya also will be done now. And what is the Nyaya here? Nyaya does not, what is the purpose of Nyaya? Purpose of justice or even a punishment is actually not to merely make that person pay a price for the wrong deed. That also is one part of the punishment where it is necessary, that has to be done. But the purpose of that punishment also is to make that person transform, not to do that again, and also to make that person have that repentance, opportunity to change. Sometimes one gives punishment, but the person doesn't repent, the person doesn't feel that one has done anything wrong. One, in fact, becomes more arrogant to repeat the same offense or do that offense with much more vengeance. Then that punishment has not served its purpose. And sometimes, apparently, there is no external punishment that is given, but that person is made to realize what wrong one has done, and one repents for it, one seeks forgiveness for it, and when one is forgiven that way, one will not do it again. So here it is that Bhagwan Vishnu brought Indra with him, and what did he say to Prthu Raja? Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Esha te karashid bhangam hayamedha shatasyaha kshama-payata atmanam amushyakshantum arhasi. Esha te, this Indra, he has interfered with your 100th Ashwamedha Yajna. Now he is tendering an apology. And Bhagavan says, you will do well to forgive him. Kshama-payata. You please forgive him, because he is Indra, he is the king of Devatas. So many phenomenal forces, etc., are taking care of this creation. And yes, he made a mistake. He got insecure. And he did steal the horse, etc. So he has come here now and he is asking forgiveness. For a king of kings, or king of Devatas, to seek forgiveness from an earthly king itself is a big lesson. Because Devatas are superior to human beings, and he is a king of Devatas. That itself is a humbling experience for Indra. And he agreed. And he is brought, not that he has come on his own, he is brought by Bhagwan Vishnu there. So all that is sufficient for him not to repeat this again. So he says, better, it will be good if you forgive him as he apologizes to you. Then he says, Sudhiya sadhavo loke naradeva narottamaha nabhid druhyanti bhutebhyo yarhinatma kalevaram. So those pious souls who are possessed of this good understanding, they are the best, who don't bear any ill will against the fellow beings based on this body. Why? Because body is anyway perishable. How much one has the pride of this body and my family and I am this and I am that. It's all, in a minute it just goes. 1 minute. Not even 1 full minute it is. When death comes, it just finished. Everything gone. Khatam. Body lies here, burnt, buried, eaten away by birds, whatever it happens to it. So he says that they know, that wise people know that this body is not their self, and so they abide in higher understanding, in love, compassion, forgiveness, all that. And then he says, Purushayadi mukhyanti twadrisha deva mayaya shrama eva param jato dirghaya vruddha sevaya. If you are bewildered by my own maya, now this is very strange context, no? Bhagwan, Vishnu, is speaking to his own avatar, who is King Prthu, and telling him, if you are bewildered by my maya, if even people like you are bewildered by my maya, then services rendered to the elderly for a long time should be disregarded as sheer fruitless labor, meaning don't come under the sway of maya. But how will that happen? Bhagwan is Bhagwan, no doubt. Even in avatar, he knows his true nature. But this is a lesson to every one of us. And Bhagwan Prthu, Raja Prthu, there is a king. So king must have this clarity that the body is perishable, the possessions, temporary things, all that is perishable. So based on that, one holds grudges. That is not required. If somebody is genuinely repenting, seeking forgiveness, forgive them, leave them. Obviously, it depends on the whole context also. Everybody cannot be forgiven just like that. Then though one will encourage adharma. One has to see the context properly. So in this context, he says, because Prthu Raja, he, his praja was suffering. Some of them are elderly people, and they were not having crops and food and all that. And they had gone to him. And we saw the whole episode where Prthu Raja ensured that earth, which was holding back everything, brings forth all the crops and aushadhis and everything. So he says that if you get deluded and you think this body is the self, and based on that you have a strong identification that I am the king and I have been violated and he is the culprit and he has to be punished, Bhagavan says that is all my maya, it will delude you. Then whatever seva you are doing also, it is of no use. So it is fruitless labor. Hence what will happen? Atak kayamimam vidwan vidya kama karma avidya kama karma bhihi arabdha iti naivasmin pratibaddho anushajyate. So the wise man knows that this body is a result of the three knots of the heart, avidya, kama and karma. As long as these three knots are there, new bodies we will keep taking. So he says that they know that this body is a product of these three, so they don't get attached to it. And asamsakta shariresmin na munotpadite grihe apatye dravine vapi kakuryan mamatam buddha. So when they don't have any attachment to the body, why will there be any feeling of mamata, ahamta, mamata towards the things that one has, the house one has, the progeny, the wealth, all that which is produced by the body? So he says, you forgive him. He has learnt his lesson and Bhagwan himself has brought him. So if Bhagwan is saying that, then he goes on to explain that if one is not the body, then what is that body? What is the self? If the body is not the self, then what is the self? Eka shuddha swayam jyotihi nirguno sauggunashrayaha sarvato sarvago navrita sakshi niratmatmatmanah paraha. So this self is Eka, is one, absolute pure consciousness, Shuddha, purest of the pure, Swayam Jyoti, self-luminous, Nirgunaha, beyond the three gunas, and yet it is the substratum of all the gunas, Gunashrayaha. Then Sarvagaha, it is all pervasive. Anavritaha, it is manifest, Though it appears avrita, covered, but it is actually everywhere the same pure consciousness alone is appearing in different forms. Like the water alone is everywhere in the ocean. We may see a small wave, big wave, so water apparently is covered because we are seeing wave. Like the ornament, we see ring and bangle and gold, anklet and earring, but actually it is gold only. So in that way, so it is anavritaha. It is uncovered, unveiled. It is sakshi, the witness of all. And niratmatmanam atmanaha. And it will never be tainted by the three gunas, by this prakriti. And especially who knows this remains free, does not get bound by any of the three gunas of the prakriti and by his maya. Bhagavan's maya is three gunas. So he gave the self-knowledge also. So what did he say? Body is not you. Association with the body is considered as being deluded, ignorant. And those who forgive, those who have this higher vision, they come to realize the self also. And what is the nature of that self? This is the nature of the self. So whoever knows this, the man who knows the self existing in the body as described above, is never tainted by the modes of prakriti. If one knows I am pure consciousness, which is of this nature, one will not take things personally and identified with the body. One will not act in such a way that, as though some deluded person is acting to get more wealth or more power or more enjoyment. Prthu Raja anyway didn't want all that. That's why he agreed to what Brahmaji said. So he says the person who worships, now those who say, no, I do my duties as a worship, I don't do any other ritual. What Bhagavan says, see, very nice shloka here, 9th one. Yasvadharmena mam nityam nirashihi shraddhayanvitaha bhajate shanakaistasya manorajan prasidati. So he says that somebody who worships nityam, daily, how swadharmena, mam, the Lord, with the performance of one's duties dedicated to Bhagavan, and shraddhayanvitaha, one must have shraddha, the faith that what I am doing is dedicated to Bhagavan, it purifies my mind, it reduces the ego pressure, it prepares me to experience oneness with the divine. Then he says that bhajate shanakaistasya manorajan prasidati. And that person doesn't want anything. Selflessly one is doing. Then what happens? That person's mind becomes purified. Manorajan prasidati. And when the mind is purified, then what happens? One can detach from the worldly things. Parityakta guna samyak darshano vishadashayaha shantim me samavasthanam brahma kaivalyam ashnute. Now that mind which has got detached from the worldly things can through contemplation come to realize this absolute self. And that is the mukti, final mukti, kaivalyam ashnute. Udasinam ivadhyaksham dravya jnana kriyatmanam kutastham imamatmanam yo vedapnoti shobhanam. Now, whoever knows this self, what happens? Udasina, they become indifferent. Some become indifferent and they become silent and they don't talk or they are not amongst the people. Some people are amongst the others, serving dynamically. But the attitude of both of them is indifference towards perishable. Like how we have no attraction, no aversion towards any toys of childhood. Same thing here. No attraction, no aversion towards anything of this world. So he says that, udasinam. Why? Because one has known the self, udasinavad adhyaksham dravya jnana kriyatmanam. Though the self is the one which is illumining this things in the world, actions, knowledge, all these things. Kutastham imam, and that self is kutastha, it is unchangeable, witness of all. Yo Veda apnoti shobhanam. So here is a person who experiences this highest state of auspiciousness, blessedness. How he has linked forgiveness and values to reducing body identification to doing the duties dedicated to Bhagavan, purifying the mind, realizing the self, becoming indifferent, goal of life achieved. Is this not success of the yagna? What is yagna meant for? If it is meant only for increasing the ego, it is very limited. 100 Ashwamedha yagnas, if they are completed, still that person may get a title called Shakra or Shatakratu, but still a person is limited in one's experience. I am still a jiva. But if one follows the path of righteousness, values, forgiveness, all that, then it leads to realization. Now he says that this is freedom from cycle of birth and death, mukti, kaivalyam, absolute state of blessedness, shobhanam. Now he says, if that does not happen, then what will happen? The jiva will keep going from one birth to another till one doesn't come to that state. However glorious that jiva may be, including Indra has to take birth again and again till he realizes oneness. So he says transmigration takes place of the subtle body. Bhinnasya lingasya guna pravaho dravya kriya karaka chetanatmanaha. So now this subtle body, as we know, is made up of 5 subtle elements. And then these senses and then the devatas, all that which is there. And that subtle body has a reflection of consciousness. That's how subtle body can move from one gross body to the other. These people who have experienced oneness with Bhagavan, they are not affected by the state of the subtle body. They have anyway gone beyond the subtle body, so gone beyond birth and death also. So drashtasu sampatsu vipatsu surayo navikriyante mai baddha sauhradaha. Those who are enlightened and those who have experienced this deep level of oneness with the Lord, such people, they don't give in to these highs and lows, elation and depression, and whatever be the circumstances outside, favorable, unfavorable, joy and sorrow they will bring as a result. But here are people who are established in that sense of identity with Bhagavan, with oneness. They don't get affected by all these pairs of opposites. And then he says, viewing the exalted, the middling, and the vile alike. This is the samadrishti. They will see all of them as expressions of one divine truth. Samas samanottama madhyamadhamaha sukhecha dukkhecha jitendriyashayaha. They will have equal vision towards all, and they will be very balanced in this sukha and dukkha. They have control over the senses. Mayopaklipta khila loka samyuto vidhatsva vira khila loka rakshanam. Now these are the qualities of the king. He is specifically now coming to the dharma of the king. Earlier also the Raj Dharma, the Brahmanas, when they were praising Prthu Raja, we saw. Here Bhagavan is saying now that a king must see everyone as alike and must be balanced in joy and sorrow, must have conquered the senses and the mind, and protect the whole world with the help and cooperation of all the people made available by the Lord. So now Bhagavan is saying, I have made available all these things, use it, protect the people, but have the vision of equality. Shreya prajapalanameva rajño yat samparaye sukritat Shashtamamsham Hartanyatha Hrit Punya Hartanyatha Hrita Punya Prajanam Arakshita Karaharo Dhamatti. So he says, this is a very important shloka here, 14th one, that protection of the people is the only way of salvation of a ruler. Shreya Praja Palanam Eva Rajnyo. And what he says, by doing that protection of the people, the person gains 1/6 of the merit earned by all the people. Imagine, entire Praja, whatever Punya Karma they are doing, 1/6 of that comes to the Raja. But if the Raja does the duty to protect them. While if he takes taxes from them, he does not protect them, he becomes selfish and corrupted, and instead of taking care of the Praja and ensuring that he has the attitude of sevak towards the Praja, if this person takes all for himself and his glory and his name, fame, and his own money it is, he doesn't think of it as a state treasury, one amasses wealth for oneself, then he says that that person gives up all merit also. The existing merit of that person will get destroyed, plus extra sin one is incurring. See that, Hrita Punyaha, all the existing merit will get destroyed. Harta Anyatha, if that person becomes a Harta who goes on looting people, then this is what will happen. Hence, he says that be devoted to the duties of a king to protect everybody. And those duties are as given in the scriptures, as taught by the Brahmanas. And though unattached to them and ruling over the earth, you will win the love and devotion of the people. And in a short time, you will be able to see the perfected ones who will call on you at your own house. This is specific to King Prthu. That if you do this, you will get the love and blessings of all the Praja you are taking care. And in time, you will meet Sanat Kumars. That's what he means. That episode will come later. That Sanat Kumars themselves will come to your house and they will give you the Brahma Jnana and you will experience that state of mukti. So one does not have to worry that what will happen to me if I do Karma Yoga, then when will I get the Guru, who will be the person, how will I get mukti. Bhagavan will do all that. That is his job. One has to follow one's duties, do actions dedicated by the Lord, dedicated towards the Lord, and know clearly that as the mind will get purified, the right teacher will come into our life, one will get the knowledge and one will attain mukti also. Ashwamedha yagna, if one has completed, one will still remain as a limited individual if that person has done for ego's sake. Here it is, if one has, in this context, Bhagavan says you have the vision of oneness towards all, forgive this Indra, and in time you will attain this realization. Now he says, you ask any boon. This whole sequence here is explained already how he will get liberation and the state of blessedness and all that. Then he says, Varam chamat kanchana manavendra Vrishnishva teham gunashila yantritaha Naham makhairvai sulabhas tapobhihi yogena va yat samachittavarti. He calls him Manavendra because that Devendra has come. Now Devendra seeking forgiveness of Manavendra. Manavendra is in a figurative meaning. It means the best amongst human beings. It doesn't mean the controller or the god of human beings. It only means the best of human beings. So he says, you ask me any boon and you have won me over with your kindness, with your disposition, with your, understanding of the Shastra, respecting what Brahmaji said. So he said, you have won over me. And he says, I am not accessible through yagnas, through austerities, through even concentration of the mind or yoga, because I dwell in the heart of the even-minded. So those who are even-minded, Samam Brahma in the Gita also Bhagavan says. Samatvam Yoga Uchyate, he says. So one of the greatest sadhanas to practice is being equanimous. And he says, you seek any boon from me. Now, when Bhagavan Vishnu is asking you seek any boon, what does Prthu Raja say? See that. Now, this form of Bhagavan Vishnu is called Vishwaksena. Maitreya Rishi says, Maitreya Uvacha Saitham Loka Guruna Vishwaksenena Vishwajita Anushasita Adesham Shirasa Jagrihe Harehe. So Vishwaksena is the Jagat Guru, is Bhagavan himself, is the Lord, is the Guru of the whole universe. So Loka Guruna Vishwaksenena, and Vishwajita, he is the one who has conquered the world also. Vishwajit Anushasita Adesham. So this Prthu Raja, now he bows the head. Prthu Raja is called here as Vishwajit because he has done the Ashwamedha Yagna. So having been taught by Lord Vishnu in this way, this Upadesha Brahma Vidya also he gave. What more is success of a yagna? Bhagavan manifested, Jnana is given, entire scheme of evolution has been given, and there are values of compassion, forgiveness, oneness, equanimity, which have been explained. And there is also the fact that Indra has sought the forgiveness. So is it not that yagna truly became successful? So here it is that Prthu Raja, he bows down to Bhagavan and he forgives. Sprishantam padayo premna, he bows down to the feet of the Lord. Vriditam svena karmana shatakratum parishvajya vidvesham visasarjaha, he embraced Indra Bhagavan, forgives him and Indra was going to touch his feet. He lifts him, saying, no, it's all right. And he embraces him. And he gave up the enmity towards him. And here it is said he felt ashamed of his own act. Why did I lose my cool and then became angry and, tried to kill this Indra? I should not have done that, because Bhagavan said equanimous are those who will realize. Though he actually didn't do any adharma, it was natural that he got angry, but the higher purpose is even that anger is not justified from the standpoint of the realization. Because even if one gets that position, one still will be limited, finite being only. One point to also understand here is, Bhagavan is the karma phala data. If somebody has done a negative karma, if it is in my duty to do something, yes, I may do and dedicate that duty to Bhagavan. Suppose I am a policeman or a judge or whatever it may be, then I have to do something, I may do. Here is a king and his praja, if they do something wrong, he has all rights to dispense justice and everything. Now the wrong has been done here by Indra. Now when Indra has done something wrong, Brahmaji is saying, you let him go and focus on the main purpose of your avatar. So it is not in his jurisdiction. It is in Bhagavan's jurisdiction to give karma phala to Indra. So anyway, Bhagavan brought Indra. So Nyaya happened. So that is one thing we have to understand. We don't have to bother about, how can that person get away with the wrong? And for that, we go out of our way to ensure that that person gets punished. That cosmic justice, Bhagavan will take care of it. That is not our lookout. What is within our realm of duty that we have to do. At some other place, you saw in the earlier episode of Shivji and Daksha that Daksha's head was chopped off. And Bhagwan created that Virabhadra and he sent there, and then his head was chopped off. Daksha got the punishment. So in some cases there is punishment, some cases there is forgiveness. Bhagwan knows the best. And Bhagwan's jurisdiction, he will handle it. We don't have to worry. If it is in our duty, our jurisdiction, we'll do something. Whatever is appropriate as per dharma, nyaya can be done. This is not in his realm. It is outside his realm. So now Bhagwan brought him also, Indra also repentful, and he also tries to bow down. Prthu Raja lifts him, embraces him, forgives him, and also feels that, I should not have got angry. Because many times at that moment, that emotion is very powerful. It does not, we don't realize at that moment, and we go in the flow. Later on, we realize, what is this? Why did I behave like this? Such a small thing, I blew it out of proportion, unnecessary. When does that happen? When we take a step back and then we are able to see a bigger picture. Then in that context, we realize, this was so petty. Otherwise, our ego makes that small thing appear so big. And then there are all kinds of imaginations, false ideas, misconceptions, all that. So he says he felt a little ashamed also. Now Prthu Raja worships Bhagwan, clasped his lotus feet with more and more devotion. Now Bhagwan, though he wanted to depart from there, he kept on looking at Prthu Raja and could not proceed. That is the love that he has. Prthu Raja is a very dharmic king. Now, Prthu Raja, he was not able to see Bhagwan clearly because his eyes are filled with tears. Bhagwan is continuously seeing him. And Bhagwan wants to go because his work is done. He brought Indra and Indra was forgiven. And he gave the, Upadesh also. He is waiting now for Prthu Raja to ask a boon. Otherwise, his work is over. Prthu Raja is very happy to have darshan of Bhagwan. So his eyes are filled with tears. Now he can't see very clearly in the beginning. So his emotion is also choked. He can't speak. His voice is choked and his tears are coming from his eyes. Now he embraces Bhagwan in his heart, and there in front of Bhagwan he stood with his hands folded. Then he wipes the tears and he sees the Lord, has the proper physical darshan of Bhagwan also. And obviously his eyes will not be satisfied. One wants to have that form, want to see that form continuously. So he says that he now appeared before his eyes that would not be sated with his sight, and who stood touching the ground with his feet, and with the fingertip of one of his hands placed on the elevated shoulder of Garuda. So he saw Bhagwan was there and with his Garuda, and now he sings the glory of Bhagwan. Prithu Uvacha Varan Vibho Twadvara Deshwarad Buddha Katham Vrinite Guna Vikriyatmanam Ye Narakanam Api Santi Dehinam Tani Shakaivalya Pate Vrine Nacha. So he says, how can a wise person even ask a boon? Why? Because one very powerful line he says that I too would never ask of you, O Lord, the bestower of final beatitude, boons which are available even to the denizens of hell. Even those who are in the hell may seek some boon, some comfort, some luxury, some enjoyment. What else one will seek? So he says, why will a wise person ask when one can ask for something greater? Some ordinary boons one doesn't need. How could a wise person ask boons enjoyable by those whose mind is engrossed in the world of matter? Only people who are attached to the world of matter, they want some material boon, some enjoyment, some power, some wealth, some position, or all that. But those things are even asked by people in the hell. So what does he want? Now very powerful shloka comes, you see. Nakamaye nath tadapyaham kvachin nayatra yushmacharanambuja savaha mahattamantar hridayan mukhachuto vidhatsva karnayutamesha me varaha. He says, I don't want mukti. Bhagavan told everything about mukti and how you will attain final beatitude, oneness and everything. He says, I don't want mukti. And why does he not want mukti? Because there in that state it is non-duality, oneness, absolute oneness. There is no bhakta, bhagwan, bhakti, all that is not there. So he says, I can't listen to your glories there. So you may have told me all this about mukti, but I don't want mukti. Then what do I want? See that. Endow me with 10,000 years. Oh, 10,000 years. It is symbolic. Obviously, doesn't want physical 10,000 years. The idea is, may I continuously revel in the state of this remembrance of you and the great devotees when they sing your glories. May I keep on listening to your glories and not get satisfied by them. We get satisfied after some days, some moments or some hours of katha. He says, "Bas aaj ke liye bahut ho gaya." It is natural in one way. Each one has a attention span, saturation limit in the mind. But here the point is not to speak about those psychological factors. The point here is that if I keep remembering, listening to glories of Bhagavan, I will forget myself. The small I will go. Otherwise, this small I loves to listen to its own glories. Somebody says, oh, you did it so well, or you performed so well, or congratulations, you are being given this award, and then one is in seventh heaven, and then people on the social media also one posts it, and one gets so many likes and forwards, and some post goes viral also, and one feels, oh, so amazing. We like to hear our praises. Bhakta wants to listen to only Bhagavan's praise, and he says, with not 1 year, 2 years, 10,000 years you bless me. With those 10,000 years, what will I do? I'll go on listening to only Bhagavan's glories. That's a unique boon he asked. Like we saw earlier in Bhagavatam, how Kunti asks, Bhagavan, give me pain. Because in happy times, we forget Bhagavan. In painful, difficult times, we remember. You know, one very interesting exercise you can do. We can write down the list, when we can write down what all boons the devotees in Bhagavatam have asked Bhagavan. As we go ahead, we will see Prahladji's stuti, Prahladji's story. There he asked the boon of becoming desireless. That may I have no desires. Let no desire rise in my mind. Like that, each devotee has asked something unique. Somebody is asking pain, somebody is asking desirelessness. Here he is asking 10,000 years to keep listening to your glory. In the Vedas, this mantra comes. Yas Chandasam Rishabho Vishwarupaha, where Omkar Bhagavan is being invoked. There it comes. Karnabhyam Bhuri Vishruvam Brahmana Koshosi Medhaya Pihitaha Shrutam Me Gopaya. Karnabhyam. So many years it means. Even in the Shanti Mantra, famous one, Bhadram Karne Bhihi, it is said. So Karnabhyam 2 years, Karne Bhihi, many years. So idea here is we keep on listening to Bhagwan's glories or Atma Gnan. In this context, it is Bhakti, so Bhagwan's glories. And in that process, forget our identity. So he says that, O Lord of excellent renown, even the air laden with drops of nectar of your lotus feet issuing from the mouth of exalted souls restores knowledge of self to us fallen yogis who have forgotten the path leading to the truth. Hence, we don't require any other boons, just give this much. So we keep listening. How can a man of flair who has accidentally heard your auspicious praises in the society of noble souls only once feel sated unless he is a veritable brute? What a strong expression it is. If one is satisfied listening to the katha once and says, "Bas ho gaya, kahan baar sunte rahenge?" People keep saying that, you know. How many times to listen to Gita, Swamiji? I've heard it already, 18 chapters over. Same thing, no, it is. What is new about it? The shloka appears same, but every time one reflects on it, there's some new insight which comes. Plus, I have changed in my life from last time what I heard to what I am hearing today. I have changed. So, the relevance and applicability also will be different now. So, devotee has that bhav. One keeps listening. Somebody who says, "Bas ho gaya now. Kuch naya batao." What is new to tell? So he says here that person who is satiated only to listen to the glories once, and he says, "Bas ho gaya." He's a veritable brute. With the glory which even Shri has gladly adopted as a theme of her song. Shri means Mother Lakshmi. Keen to imbibe your virtues. So she also keeps on singing your glories so that they get imbibed. So one aspect is to listen, other aspect is to imbibe so that we will live those values and the good qualities of Bhagwan. Mother Lakshmi herself is doing it. Full of ardent longing, therefore I would like Lakshmi adore with all my being you, the highest of all embodied beings and the abode of all excellences. Meaning Lakshmi Devi continuously serves you. Give me also an opportunity to serve you at all times. Then he says, let there be no bickering between us two who are competing for the service of a common Lord and who have focused our mind on your feet alone. Meaning Lakshmi Devi is pressing one feet, give me another feet. Both of us, we will press your feet, we will serve you at all times. And between us, there should not be fight. Lakshmi Devi should not say that this right foot is mine and left foot is yours, and why did you touch this right foot and I will beat your left foot, and that will trouble Bhagavan only. He says, let there be no bickering between us. We both will serve. Meaning, in seva, there should not be this kind of possessiveness and ego. If the seva is meant to tune up with the Lord and to purify our mind. It is not meant for comparing and, becoming jealous and, fighting. It's not meant for that. So here he says that, let there be no bickering. Jealousy is sure to be aroused in the mind of Goddess Lakshmi, whose role it is my desire to share. Why? Because she has been doing alone all the while. So it is bound to arise that now she has to share. And so he says that please ensure that there is no bickering between us. But fond as you are of the meek, you make much even of their trifling services, and rejoicing as you do in your own self, you have nothing to do even with her. Meaning, from the absolute standpoint, you have no attachment to even Mother Lakshmi or to anyone for that matter. And you ensure that even the smallest service that a devotee offers, you protect the devotee. Because you are fond of the devotee. So please ensure that Give me an opportunity to serve. Now see what all he asked in one boon. 1,000 years he wants to listen. Then he wants to serve Bhagavan. In that service specifically he wants to be at the feet of the Lord. And then he says, let Mother Lakshmi not have any jealousy for me and let there be no bickering between all of us. So you please ensure this happens. And then he says, it is therefore that even after attaining wisdom, pious souls worship you alone who dispel the delusion caused in the mind. So even those who have realized the truth, many of them, see, one is the Kaivalya Mukti where one experiences absolute oneness, which is what Prthu Raja also said, that from that standpoint there is no Lakshmi, there is no Bhagavan, there is no Sevak, there is nothing. But enlightened beings also want to only serve the Lord. Some of them, the bhakti oriented Mahatmas, they want to serve Bhagavan. So he says this, that even the enlightened beings, they worship you alone. And we know of no other purpose than the constant remembrance of your feet in the life of noble souls. So he says that is the highest which we can ask. Hence the words, ask a boon of your choice that you address to me, engaged in worshipping you, I reckon as intended to delude the creatures. Don't, if you are telling me to ask some boon which is a material boon, then that is only going to lead to more delusion. If the people were not bound by the cords of your speech, wherefore should they take to action under a spell of delusion? Indeed, man has been split from you, his real self, by your Maya. This Maya of yours only keeps us away from you and it dilutes, and further you are asking us boons which will strengthen Maya. He asks boons. We don't want anything material. What we seek is this. Keep listening to your glories, keep serving you, let there be no jealousy in the minds of anybody. Keep remembering your glories. So that way, not doing that is how we land up as victims of Maya. If we do this, Maya will not touch us. So there's no need of the material boon. That's what he means. And when we don't know the self, that's why we hanker in this world. So your remembrance continuously, if it is there, it's like remembering the self, in which we forget ourselves. Then we are freed from Maya also. Now imagine, Bhagavan gave the path of knowledge to become free from Maya. And he says your duties will purify you, and then the Sanat Kumars will come, they will give you knowledge, and then you will get mukti, you will get free. Which anyway will happen. Now you will see it will happen. Bhagavan said it and it is going to happen. But Prthu Raja is saying about bhakti. He is saying now you bless us with this boon. Don't ask us, we don't want any material boon. That is only going to delude us further and further. You bless us with listening to your glories and we want to keep on serving you. And that is enough. That itself will lead to mukti. Bas. So now when Bhagavan was glorified in this way, Maitreya Rishi says that the Lord told him, Ityadaraje nanutassa vishvadrak tamaha rajanmai bhakti rastute. May you have my devotion. Meaning, may you be devoted to me. What he asked, that boon he gave. Drishtye drishi dhirmaite kritayaya mayam madiyam taratisma dustyajam. So may you have devotion to me. Fortunately enough, you have developed such a mental attitude towards me through which one is able to get over my Maya, so hard to escape from. So Bhagavan also validates this, that yes, this path of devotion will lead you to that state beyond Maya. So he says, therefore you do what I have told you, and those who carry out my behest reap good results everywhere. Meaning rule with equanimity, see everybody as your own self, forgive this Indra, all that. Now, obviously, Prthu Raja is going to accept that, saying, yes, Bhagwan, I will do that. Now, here, Bhagwan showered his grace upon him, and Bhagwan made up his mind, now I have to go. Earlier, he was not going. He didn't feel like going. He kept looking at Prthu Raja. Now, he made up his mind to depart. And honored by the king with polite words, wealth, salutation, devotion, treated by him as so many images of Lord Vishnu, all the devatas, rishis, mains, gandharvas, siddhas, charanas, nagas, kinnaras, apsaras, human beings, birds, rivers, many beings, as well as the attendants of Lord Vishnu who brought Bhagavan there, all of them, they leave. Remember, they all had come for Ashwamedha Yagna. That's why this Indra also got very insecure, saying, "Arey, the whole creation, all these divine beings also are going there. Now he is going to become more popular than me." So he got jealous. Now all of them, they were given appropriate gifts and salutations, devotion, everything, and then they departed. And what did Bhagavan do? Very nice shloka comes here now, 37th one. Bhagavanapi rajarshehe sopadhyayasya chatyutah haranniva mano mushya swadhama pratyapadyata. So Prthu Raja is called Rajarshi. A Raja who has the temperament of a Rishi. And this word is interesting. This Raja will finally become a Rishi also. Because he will leave his kingdom after getting Upadesh from Sanat Kumars and all that. He will leave, he will renounce, and he will become, he is avatar of Bhagavan anyway, but he sets that example. That kings also, at a point, they will leave the power and everything, and they will retire, and their mind will be fully, exclusively devoted to pursuit of devotion or self-knowledge. So he is Rajarshi. Bhagavan api Rajarshehe sopadhyayasya chachutaha. So he, as though stole away the mind of this Rajarshi, harannivam mano amushya, and stealing away the mind, as it were, of that royal sage as well as that of his preceptor, the immortal Lord, to return to his own abode. Bhagavan also went. Then what happened? Bowing to the Lord, who is adorable even to the gods and is unmanifest by his very nature, and who, having revealed himself to Prthu, had become invisible once more, the king also retired to his capital. So there the Ashwamedha Yagna of Prthu Raja concludes. Then comes the Upadesh of Prthu Raja to his Praja. That we will take up in our next class. We will see how much we can complete that Prthu Raja's prasang we will do. Then 3 Purusharthas will be over. Dharma, Artha and Kama. Last will be Moksha Purushartha, so that we will see later on at some point when we resume the classes. So August, only one more class next week. Any questions for today? Okay.
मंगल आरती प्रिया प्रीतम की, मंगल प्रीति रीति धूम की, मंगल कांति हसनी दसनन की, मंगल मुरली दीना धुन की, मंगल आरती। मंगल बणिक त्रिभंगी हरि की, मंगल सेवा सब सहचर की, मंगल सिर चंद्रिका मुकुट की, मंगल छवि नयन में अटकी, मंगल आरती। पभी अंग अंग की, मंगल गौर श्याम रंग की, मंगल अति कटि पियरे पट की, मंगल चितमणि नागर नट की, मंगल आरती। मंगल शोभा कमल नयन की, मंगल माधुरी मृदुल पैन की, मंगल वृंदावन मद अटकी, मंगल क्रीडन जमुना तट की, मंगल आरती। मंगल चरण अरुण तरुवन की, मंगल करणी भगति हरिजन की, मंगल जुगल प्रिया बावन की, मंगल श्री राधा जीवन की, मंगल आरती प्रिया प्रीतम की, मंगल प्रीति रीति डोल की, मंगल आरती मंगल आरती। राधावर कृष्णचंद्र भगवान की जय। ओम न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चंद्र तारकम्, नेमा विद्युतो भान्ति कुतोऽयमग्निः, तमेव भान्तमनुभाति सर्वं, तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति। श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की।
ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते, पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।